All right, good afternoon. Once again, the rules. No videotaping, no flash photography. Make sure your phones are on mute. If you have a question, please raise your hand and wait until the microphone gets to you before you ask your question. Please give us your name and affiliation. We're ready to start the Coach Moser press conference. Coach, could you please give us an opening statement?
Yes, I know our guys, like everybody, is really excited to be here, but we're also excited to compete. With what the grind we went through in the SEC, the resiliency these guys showed will be this team's trademark of just how they've been resilient, battling through this league, battling through ups and downs, and playing their best basketball right now.
Thank you, Coach. Let's start over here, Cooper.
Yeah, Porter, John Hoover, Sooners on SI. I asked the players this. What are you looking forward to? It's been a couple of years since you've been here in the tournament. What are you looking forward to the most tomorrow, whether it's the atmosphere or the pregame buzz or anything that goes into that?
I mean, this tournament, there's nothing like it. And the thing you look forward to is, I mean, you work all summer, everything, to be on the stage to where it's win in advance. So what we're looking forward to is to competing to get a win, and one at a time. But I think the guys are really, especially like guys like Sam and Jalen, who just got gut punched a year ago when we felt we were in, and then there was 5 bid steals. But for us to get in, and I think what was been evident the last 4 days of practice is they're just not happy to just be here. Like this was, obviously we knew it's the first step was getting in, and now I think they're really looking forward to competing.
Jaden on the side.
Porter, Dan Walken, USA Today here. So much talk about how physical the SEC was this year with the style of play. How did you see that as you went through it, and how do you think that's going to translate to the tournament? You think it'll help, or maybe it could be a little iffy if the officiating's different? Yeah,
you don't really know right now, Dan, I don't know the feel yet of the officiating, but I will say this, going through the SEC, the positional size was absolutely phenomenal. Like going right down from the 5, the 4, the 3. But where it was different that I felt of any place I've ever been, any level I've ever been, was the offensive rebounding. The push to get offensive rebounds, that positional size, the physicality in the paint is what's going to be interesting to this league, because there's some of the best offensive rebounding teams in the country in the SEC. And the way they just go get off the glass, I think that's what this tournament's going to see too, is the positional size, athleticism, aggressiveness on the offensive glass.
Okay, we're going to go front row, and then we'll get you.
Yeah, Porter, Bob Prisbilla with Sooner Scoop. We know Sam Godwin's provided an emotional lift the last couple of weeks, but is there an update to whether or not he might be available to play Friday night?
Sam has done absolutely everything you can do to get back. I mean, I think he's, almost probably 3 days. He's right there. He did some stuff with the team today, and it's going to be hard for him. We'll see. We kind of started out saying, hey, 10 minutes if you give us a lift. But it's just, you don't want to put him in a position. And I know for Sam, he's like, well, this is it for me. I can't say how much, I can't tell you how hard he's gone after it these last 2 weeks. And it's a sprained MCL, so it's an injury that takes a little bit of time. But we'll see. He did some stuff this morning. It's going to be hard for him to go tomorrow night. But I know if we're going to wait and see how he does shooting around, and also tomorrow in our walkthrough.
Okay, let's go on the edge there.
Coach Mike Anthony from Hurston, Connecticut. Would you mind describing your experience with Jeremiah so far, and just what makes him such a dynamic player in general, and also over the last few months, what are some areas he's really learned to impact the game even more in?
I tell you, my journey with Jeremiah started when we were recruiting him at the Peach Jam, and all of a sudden he was going to reclassified. So he missed the whole summer. So that's one thing to be a reclass, but other to miss that whole foundation of the summer. And my journey right from the beginning is I saw a young man with no ego. I saw a young man that didn't come in here entitled. And I actually didn't start in the first couple games for that reason. I want him to fight at his young age, and just fought through it. And for him, it's been a growth constantly. There's no one in the gym that's more. There's no one that watches more film on his own. And we got off to a great start. And then we went into the league. And right out of the gate in the SEC, they're all older point guards. Go down the list: Wade Taylor, Ziegler, Sears, Pope. I mean, one after the other, they're older guys. And for him to fight through this, I just see growth. It was a big play in the Georgia game when he was getting to the foul line, he was making Sebastian was scoring, and then on a big basket, he drove to the left, and like the whole thing converged. And instead of making a tough shot contested, he kicked it out to Jalen Moore for a three. He's seeing the floor, making the right play. But my thoughts about my journey, my relationship with Jeremiah, is about a young man that's come in and he's had dreams. He wanted to reclassify, and he has worked. He has worked. He has been not entitled, and he means a lot to our team.
Okay, Jaden up here in the front.
Wayne Norman, UConn Sports Network. You talked about the offensive rebounding in the SEC. Do you see UConn as a similar type of team with that offensive rebounding?
Absolutely. That's a great point. We've talked about that with how you can talk about, and you do get caught up talking about the elite movement of UConn. Just elite, we've seen it on the national stage here for many years, winning the championship, but their movement is as good as anybody that I've seen. They'll do multiple sets. So you get caught up in talking about staggers, flares repo, but the thing we've really made it, you have to rebound the ball. They absolutely are like an SEC team that with the offensive rebounds. Reed in there, Carabine gets in there and gets his hands on it. McNeely goes. They have great positional size too. So we know we've got to guard their actions and multiple efforts guarding their movement. But the job's not over. The job's over when you get the rebound, because they will go get it.
Jaden right there's got a question.
Yeah, Porter, to follow up on that great scouting report on Connecticut, but when you break down the fact that they've won the 2 last national championships, Dan Hurley's got an amazing track record. You guys get back in the tournament, and this is who you play. That's who you get, kind of the proven commodity that they have, if you could talk about that.
Well, they've earned that respect. I mean, everything that UConn has their way has been earned with the back-to-back national championships. But that is in the past. For us, we have our focus is on this year's team and all the respect we have for their players this year, what they do. They play tough, they play hard, they move it, they share it, they play the right way, and they've earned the right to say back-to-back national championships. For us, we're coming in here, and like we do in every opponent, we've faced the number 1 team in the country probably 3 different times this year. 14 of the 16 SEC teams spent time in the top 25 this year. So we're not stranger to playing a top team in the country. And each time we go into it, we call it a confident respect. You have confidence in our ability to come in there and win the game. You respect their strengths, and UConn obviously has a lot of those strengths.
Any other questions? Coop, want to go back up front?
We talk about Jalen Moore a lot, but just go back to the initial time that you met him and how he's grown on and off the court and what he's meant the last 2 years.
So Jalen was in the portal leaving Georgia Tech, and just like it is right now, there's a frenzy, and you're looking at stats and analytics, and Jalen averaged, I think, 4 or 5 points. I think he shot 17% from 3, making 4 threes. And we just loved his positional athleticism. I loved his energy level. I related so much with his smile. He has this infectious smile and energy level, but then when he gets on the court, he's got this, and he brings that to the game. Some guys are athletic. I've said this, Rick Majerus and I used to talk about this, is, some guys are really athletic, but they don't play athletic. They don't get their athleticism in the game. Jalen gets his athleticism in the game, the way he runs the court, the way he rebounds, the way he drives to the basket, and it's a credit to him. But his work ethic, for him to look at where he's gone from a guy that averaged 4 a game to being 17 a game, to being a 2-year 40% shooter from 3 around that neighborhood. That's a tremendous jump in his skill level. And he's going to be able to play after college, and that's a credit to his work ethic, his skill development. But last year at this time, For those that you don't know, we sat one-on-one. He just said, I'm in, coach. I'm in. I'm coming back. And that's so much of an unbelievable joy to go through this, and then to be have him and our program rewarded to fight through this hard. And I'll always think of Jalen of fighting through hard, because he wanted it so bad this year. And there was a moment this year where it was easy for everyone to quit, getting gut punched. And we just, life lesson, staying with it, persistence, faith, resiliency, of fighting through hard. And to get these wins down the stretch and play your best basketball, Jalen Moore has been the heart and soul of our team for that.
Jaden, can we go there in the middle?
Hey, Porter. Brendan Marks from The Athletic. You mentioned, obviously, last year you guys thought you were in. Devastating not to get in. What have you learned about yourself as a coach, and what have you improved about the most yourself as a coach this season and leading you guys back?
Well, I've been in it a long time, and what I did was I leaned on my faith. My faith is my foundation for everything. My family is my foundation for everything. And 365 days ago, or whatever that was, that Selection Sunday, was one of the hardest professional days, to where you're sitting there and you're clearly in, and all of a sudden there was 5 bid steals, and then we were out. And just to go through that with those young people, too, because as a coach, you have more and more opportunities. As young people, you don't. A guy last year like a Rivaldo Soares who just wept, and just because you wanted it so bad. But what I learned, is that, like everything, how you think is how you feel. How you feel is how you act. How you act defines you. And how I thought is God's got a plan. There's a resiliency, an energy level you have to have in life to fight through hard. And there were a lot of hard times dating back to when we didn't get in. And then when there's times we were getting punched in the face, losing some last-second shots. But if you lean on your faith, and you lean on your family, you lean on your locker room, your friends, your teammates, your coworkers, those people are the ones that matter. And that's what it wasn't that I learned that about myself. It was that those are previous lessons I learned on my life journey, that's what you do when time is tough. And that's what I'm happy for those young people, because I think they learned that lesson too this year. A lot of young guys were in there fighting every day. I swear, everyone thought I was Bill Murray hitting the clock in Groundhog Day. We'd come up with a tough loss, and I'd come to the locker room the next day and be like, you guys, we have a path. We have a path. We've got to play better basketball. We got to do this. And they just kept on getting up. They just kept on getting up and fighting through hard. And that's what this team storyline is, resiliency.
Jaden, up front here, please.
Wayne Norman, UConn Sports Network. Porter, you talked about offensive rebounding. What do you see as a couple of keys for Oklahoma to win this game tomorrow night?
Multiple efforts on defense. You can't take a break. You have to have multiple efforts. You're going to have to guard a stagger. You're going to have to guard a flare. You're going to have to guard a shuffle cut and a flop on a stagger. You're going to have multiple efforts defensively. You can't waste possessions. I'm always comes down to turnovers with that. Like when we're playing our best, we're high assists, low turnovers. So that's been a mantra. They get to the foul line very well. We've got to be able to play really, really hard, guard all their actions without fouling, especially with our depth. And but when you watch UConn, it's that multiple efforts on defense, and then end the possession with the rebound against UConn.
Any other questions? Cooper on the side.
Hi, Sam Callahan with the Daily Campus. You have some of the best freshmen in the country on the floor tomorrow night. What stands out about Liam McNeely that has him mocked as an NBA first-round pick?
I've known Liam since I almost got the job at Oklahoma. He started in Dallas. Great kid, great family. The thing that I've always seen is a combination of a tremendous toughness to compete. He's a competitor deluxe, combined with his IQ, feel for the game, and his skill level. He can pass. He's got really good positional size at 6'7". His range on his shot, his ability to pass. But, I think his intangibles of feel for the game and toughness are just two really huge attributes that you can see that he doesn't look like a freshman with those attributes.
Any other questions? All right, Chase, we need to do one Zoom question.
All right.
And this is the first time I've tried this. So. James, are you there?
I'm there.
All right, what is your question for Coach?
Corey, you've been in the NCAA tournament before and had some great runs, but as you mentioned, this is the first time for your team and these guys on your team. And I know you notice everything about them, or you pay attention to what they do. Can you kind of describe what it's been like for them this week as they've gone through practice and they've done things to get ready, and how much joy that's brought you and your staff to watch them to get ready to play in this tournament?
I tell you, every coach in their career will go through moments, maybe almost every year, where you have some players, if you go through a tough time, you might have a young man not playing or this, and they say to themselves, I'm not having any fun. Every coach will relate with that statement. I'm not having any fun. And what reminds me of this team is when we were in the SEC tournament, we beat Georgia, and we were preparing for Kentucky, and we had a late night, and the next morning they were on the terrace eating breakfast together, talking about the game, talking about that, and I stopped them. I said, this is what's fun. Competing, going through hard and winning. The grind to compete and win isn't fun. I mean, it's very hard to compete and grind. The fun is that, enjoying that success together. The fun, we talked about it, was after Selection Sunday. The pure joy of watching their face, see it come up. Then why I know they're such high character is watching them come to practice the next day and turn it off, turn that competitive nature. We went after one of the hardest couple practices the next day. But that's what's fun. Fun is fighting through hard in life. Fun is fighting through tough times with a group of people you love. And not just, some people want it the other way around. And you want the fun first. And this group fought through hard. And what it was like to see players I love learn that and go through that and have that fun together and have them get rewarded, because they kept on fighting, and sometimes we weren't rewarded this year. But they learned that in life. Sometimes you don't get instant gratification. This group fought through it, and that's what I'll remember about this team, James, is watching that this last couple weeks unfold.
All right, Coach, that's all the time we have. Thank you very much. Good luck tomorrow. 3:35 is Connecticut.